circling. There we go. Hi, everybody. So hold on. We don't have a producer tonight, so we're gonna try to do the Twitter thing without Aldo, because Aldo is in the fighting a good fight versus Comcast right now. So give us a second.
All right, there we go.
Got it, Fids?
Just about. It's not popping up on Twitter though. Are you posting it on Pinwheels or am I?
I didn't do anything.
Oh, give me 1 second. Let me do that. Sorry.
Yeah,
That's where we're missing Aldo. He always has that shit set up. All right.
Yeah.
A fine operation we're running.
Well, we're down just like the White Sox. We're next manning up this right now, and it's. There we go. I found this tweet, so I can retweet that. There we go. All right, fuck it, Fids.
I got you. Almost hold on real quick.
In 3, 2, you can do it while the theme music is playing. DJ, play my theme music.
Rebuild of the favorites, we here for the latest. South side or the north side, not tuned to the greatest. Home team for the home teams, both sides got our own rings. On the mound or the long ball, but we don't put the wrong strings, yeah. It's that time of the year now. Wrigley or Gantes or the whole league that we hear now. New show with a new mood, discussions and interviews. Straight rumors that might be. This is Pinwheels and Knife.
What's going on, everybody? You have found the Pinwheels and Ivy, and to address the first comment I see in the comment section, I'm not doing laundry, so if you're hearing a noise, I don't know what it is. All right, ready? 3, 2, 1. What's going on, everybody? It is Thursday, September 29th, and you have found the Pinwheels and Ivy podcast. I am your host, Matt Zwaski, a.k.a. Father Zoe, a.k.a. Southside Zoe, and with me, as always, the good Reverend K. Fids.
Hey, everybody. So happy to see you guys on such a glorious night as we welcome a very special guest. But in the meanwhile, we welcome a very special guest.
And the young king, NASCAR Mitch.
Skip to me. Get to the main attraction here. This is what the people want.
Give the people what they want.
I don't know if you noticed, but that is not Aldo Soto. Maybe it is down the road. Maybe it is. Maybe we found a time capsule and we fast forward time, and that's older Aldo.
It's like Tony La Russa. He left and he didn't get his job there.
Yeah.
Aldo Sato.
Yeah. Mitch, we're going to need you to turn your microphone up a little bit. But that gentleman right there, ladies and gentlemen, you know, you love him. That is the BeefLoaf, a.k.a. at Mr. Delicious 13 from the 108. Big Feed Energy. Thirst Trap, OG, like whore, mediocrity, personified, recovering crybaby. BeefLoaf. What's going on, brother?
Zoe, Fids, Mitch. Wonderful to be. It's been a while. It feels like I've been a minute since I've been on here. I told Zoe before we came on, the 108ers are your recessionary guests. When the team's going good, you don't need us on the podcast. When the team starts to stink, then that's when we get the invites. I was on Future Sox podcast that dropped on Tuesday. I'm back. I'm glad to be back with you boys. I think the last time I was with you, a couple times ago, I talked about trading Luis Robert for Eugenio Suarez. That might be back on the table. That was the first time. It might be back on the table this offseason. We'll see. I don't get to all that offseason talk, but it could be out there. Now, Mitch, you're newer to this. I've watched the show. I've seen you on here. Now, I got to throw this down here as one of your drunk uncles. You're a White Sox guy. But what you need to do, you need to get yourself better known here, because I run what's called the 108 tourney. And that's where we put everyone out there and we put Twitter matchups. If you want to get yourself known, what I need you to do is start bodying one of your co-hosts every single episode. I know maybe some of these guys might function as your boss on the blog side. Fuck that. It doesn't matter. You got to go after them. And go after them in a nice way to get the crowd to laugh. You want the viewers, the listeners, commenters to get on your side messing with these guys. So you don't have to do it tonight, but I'm going to be watching all throughout the rest of the offseason and try to get you that 108 tourney berth. All right, Mitch?
Sounds good. be a 16 seed, like when they have the playing round for the 16. That'll be me. I'm gonna make a run this year.
I started out as a 16 seed. My first year I was a 16 seed. White Sox Dave bodied me, and then we moved on to the next year.
I see Mitchell competing in that NASCAR bracket now that we're getting this larger contingent of White Sox fans, NASCAR fans like Yeah Dog and who else?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, dog would body me though too, in that.
He has
That wouldn't be very close either.
No, yeah, dog got crushed last year in the tournament. He was a person who disappointed me the most in the 108 tourney. I put him as the 2 seed, and in the one bracket, he got clobbered by the 15 seed. He's on my S list, all right? He's out.
Trap game right there, yeah.
He does like Jose Canseco, though, so I'll give him that. So I gave him a treat. I gave him a treat earlier this week with something I shared with him that made him very happy.
So, as BeefLoaf alluded to, it is not good in White Sox land right now. As I mentioned last week, this is the bad place, and it actually got worse. Surprise. The White Sox are currently riding a 7-game losing streak, and as we record this on Wednesday night, they are losing 5-2 to Minnesota in the top of the 5th. Yeah, not great, Bob. But
time out real quick. Just want to say congratulations to Mike Judge on your 61st home run.
Mike Judge or Aaron Judge?
Mike Judge on your first Beavis and Butthead episode.
Yeah.
And then Aaron Judge on his 61st home run.
Did he just hit it now?
Yeah, he just hit it.
Who caught the ball? It wasn't that nerd, was it?
Oh,
Just check Twitter, I'm sure.
That Zach Hampel guy?
Yeah, that Zach Hampel guy. That guy sucks.
That's all
But Mike Judge, that was kind of really funny. I don't even know if he did that on
I
purpose.
always do that a bunch.
But, yeah, I mean, so 61, well, that's impressive, 61. And then on a more somber note, I do have to say, and I'm going to take a moment of silence and have a drink. Ladies and gentlemen, we just lost Coolio. So to Coolio, 59 years young, Gangster's Paradise. But as I was mentioning to Beef, you could have put a gun to my head. There's no way I thought he was 59 years old. I thought Coolio easy, top 60s, 70 years old. But
70-year-old Coolio. The world was not ready for 70-year-old Coolio. He had to go before then. It wasn't in the cards.
And you know what? At work, we use Slack to do interchannel, and I have like a little Coolio emoticon that when people say like, "Hey Zoe, I need this report," I just put the little Coolio picture, and it's like, Coolio, dude. Yeah, it's gonna be a little different now. But anyways, White Sox are down, they're down 5-3 as we record this, riding a 7-game losing streak. So, as always, White Sox Twitter doesn't disappoint, and everyone's remaining very calm and very rational about what they think should be happening in the off season. Now, the big news that it came out, and this is going to kind of set the table on where I want to get the Gang Fits the White Sox episode started out of. We've seen it from a lot of different sources. The one that I saw that I guess I don't know if I should say trust more or whatever, but Dan Bernstein from 670 Score said that he's also hearing that it is true that Tony La Russa will not be back with the club this year for sure, but he will not be coming back next year to manage the White Sox due to mostly health reasons. Now, we haven't gotten an official word on that. I think this is a big if there's smoke, there's fire type thing. You've seen it from a lot of different people, so it doesn't look like Tony's coming back. I don't think Carlo's coming back either. I think we're starting with a fresh palette. So in our effort, and that's the theme of tonight's show, in our effort to fix the White Sox, we're gonna start there with whomst we want to see as the White Sox manager next year. Now, before I kick it to you guys and get you guys start dropping names, I don't have a name. I have a criteria.
You took my answer.
I have a criteria. My criteria is this. 1, he has no previous association with the Chicago White Sox organization. I don't want his third cousin to play to be a ball boy in 1984. That's still too close. I want no association with the Chicago White Sox whatsoever. 2, I need you to be under 6. We'll go. I was gonna say 60. I'm willing to go up to 65. Need a young guy. Need some young blood. Seeing some names in the comments already. Ron Washington might be 250 years old. I don't want another old guy in the dugout. And
8 years old, and he's doing just fine.
I mean, there's exceptions to every rule. It's just like the Boston people.
Yeah,
were
the
like,
exception was Tony Stark.
and then really that's my only two. Previous managerial experience is preferred, not necessary. Not. I mean, if they give a guy a shot, then that's going to be anything anyone talks about. But that's it. So as our guest, Beef, I know you said you didn't have a name, but since you don't have a name, you can just join on me with our qualifications. What are some of the things that you'd like to see in the bench boss next year for the White Sox?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, Zoe. I don't have a specific name. It would be disingenuous for me to throw a name out there because I'm not the type of guy who's in position who's paying that much attention to that sort of thing. I could just give you the garden variety. Here are the bench coaches from the good teams. Throw those at the wall and hope that one of them sticks. In general, I like your criteria, but I think one of the things that I personally realized as we got through the Tony La Russa years here is that I probably leaned a little more on tactical stuff in my evaluation of a manager and less on the stuff that doesn't happen between 7 and 10 o'clock at night, kind of all the rest of the things that a manager does. And to me, it seemed like, especially in year 2, he was lacking in the stamina to be able to do that, lacking in the ability to kind of manage it outside of the 7 to 10. 7 to 10, I thought he was mediocre to weak kind of both years.
Yep.
But year 1, it stuck together a little better. Year 2, it didn't. And when you saw Miguel Cairo come in, and I made fun of this in a tweet a little while ago about how the Miguel Cairo bump lasted 3 weeks, so we need like 8 managers next year to cover up the entire season. But you saw a little bump from the team, and I thought that was natural. Like anytime you get a new manager and a new job, you usually do get a little bump because they got some energy. They're like, oh yeah, okay, well we're going to do all these things or whatever, and that might wear off. Their management style might not work for you, and it may collapse for you. It might not be the perfect fit. But I think it's important that a communicator is someone that they get in the dugout. I think it's important that I actually would prefer a former player be in the seat and someone who was younger, like you're mentioning, Zoe, with a lot of energy. I'm going to lean away from needing an absolute tactical manager. Although I think it would benefit the White Sox to have one who could do both. It's tough to find. It's a unicorn. Because I'm not sure how strong the front office and the analytics department are at baseball strategy. So it would be nice to have a person like that in there to lead it. But if I had to choose between the two, I'm choosing the person who's the better communicator. And I don't care. It would be nice if they came from a winning organization, somewhere where they've done it before. They've sat behind someone who's had success. They've been in an organization that sees how successful things goes and maybe can influence the things that are outside of their purview as manager and just kind of talk to people. But I don't have a specific person. I'm not knee deep in all that activity.
Agreed, and that's kind of where I'm at. And there are some names that we keep seeing over and over again. The big one, I think Mr. Miller here said it in the comments. This name comes up a lot. He fits my criteria. He's 47 years old. He's been a coach for the Marlins, the Yankees. He's currently with the Astros. Fine. I mean, that's – and I don't want to sound disingenuous when I'm saying, like, oh, I don't care. I definitely care. I care a lot about who the manager is going to be next year. I guess to your point, Beef, I guess I haven't really put the time and whatever into it. And I know Mitch and Fitz have spent a little bit more time looking into something like this. But one thing that I do want to make abundantly clear, and I wanted to say this at the beginning of the show, and I kind of got ahead of myself. It's okay to be happy that Tony La Russa is not coming back next year, but you can also hope that nothing bad happens to him. Yeah, I'm just throwing that out there. We've talked about that kind of at length on the show a little bit, and I don't want to go back into it. But like, just because I don't want him to be the manager of the White Sox doesn't mean like I hope he kicks it. You know what I mean? It's just that's not it at all.
Right. You don't want it to be like shit. He's healthy again.
Right. No. I hope he has a full recovery.
Well, hang on. No, I agree with you wholeheartedly, Zoe. But if he does get healthy again, is there risk of him coming back? So that's the only concern. It's say moderately sick, maybe not in the grave, but just like enough where you can't do the job no more. That's what I'm thinking. Maybe.
I think at his age,
yeah, exactly. Fitz. Just shingles. Nothing serious. Just enough where you should stay at home. That's it.
At his age, with a pacemaker, I don't think there's ever going to be anything better than moderately sick.
I mean,
I think he just kind of he's going to be one of those guys that takes like ibuprofen every day. like just to get through the day.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
he's going to be there, and that's fine. I hope he has a great golden years riding off into the sunset. I just don't want him as the bench boss for the White Sox anymore.
Yeah.
Now, the first time we brought up potential managers, Fids, and I do apologize, I could not think of the guy's name.
Ryan Christensen.
There, see, boom.
Yeah. Number one on if any team that wants a manager right now, I think that Ryan Christensen is the number one choice for the next manager to win. If you have a team that is in a window and they're competitive, you want Ryan Christensen on your bench. You want him. He has been with Bob Melvin now for a bit. He was really well loved in Oakland when Oakland was actually thriving on a small payroll. He's down in San Diego. And he's, I mean, you throw him, I mean, he's again in San Diego now, helping them thrive as a bench coach. When he was the head guy at the lower levels, I mean, he won championships, multiple championships. The dude has shown to be a very good communicator. He actually checks that box as former player, like you were talking about too, Beef.
Yeah, I like that idea of former player. I mean, we just seen, it's tough for a non-former player to kind of oversee that. I hate that that's a precursor, but I think it kind of is.
Right, and this, he's really well liked. He's really well liked by players, and he's kind of he's younger. I mean, he's not old. He's in his, I think he's in his, I want to say he's in like early 40s maybe, which
47.
is like 47. Oh, 48 now. God, so he's like
48,
he's right at that Tito Francona, like give me my opportunity kind of moment right now. So he's been around the game enough where, and he's an analytics guy. Obviously coming from he's coming from systems that are. Well versed in analytics, which the White Sox obviously need more analytics overall, just in general. Let alone the analytics team that we talked about. It was 4 people and a dog, and maybe a parrot that died. So you need more there. So that's another box that he checks. And again, just that what he's done. As a guy that he wasn't a great baseball player as a pro. He was one of those guys that had to grind out his career. And you kind of like those guys in your dugout, regardless, because they've had to learn the game to make up for their lack of athletic ability compared to like the guys that are freaks that just go out there and just dominate because they're good. He actually had to like figure out a way to survive. And that makes those guys so much more effective. But K-Dog dropped a bomb in here, and I love Coach Hill. I mean, this dude is on the West Coast, absolutely adored. But I don't know if a college level, I mean, he's very much like a Joe Madden kind of personality. He's very hippie, very, very big hippie. So he might actually connect with guys too, but I didn't even think about throwing out Rich Hill. That actually kind of came out of nowhere. So
the guy, I don't really have a big name either. It's not like last year where we had, or 2 years ago in 2020 where we had like a bunch of like big name managerial candidates, which is kind of unfortunate when we hired the Roos when we did. But the one guy I kind of liked that passed some of the background checks, I guess, was Freddie Gonzalez, bench coach for the Baltimore Orioles. 10-year managerial career, so he's experienced. He's with a good roster right now, bilingual, which I think is really important since the majority of the core is Spanish speaking. So I think that's important when connecting to guys. He's young enough, so I think it makes a lot of sense. And if he gets offered another manager job, I think he would jump at it.
Interesting. Now, Fids, to your guy, I have a bit of a conundrum as I was looking him up. And hold on, I'm getting it loaded up right now.
You're talking about the wave thing? That
No,
people made a big deal about it.
I have a conundrum with him because one, you see pictures of him and he's looking like this, kind of looking all like a little snack over there in his little green uniform.
Wow.
But then you look at this, and that's the same guy. Like what's going on here, dude?
It's got to be the lighting. There's a different lighting going on there, right?
If I've proven anything myself is that sunglasses and being unshaven make you look much, much better than you really are. You just gotta have giant sunglasses that cover half the face and a beard that covers the rest of it. Boom.
I mean, he shows up to the South Side day one looking like this. He's gonna have a lot of White Sox fans. Like the ladies are gonna go. But I mean, this guy. This is the guy that needs to show up for the interview with Jerry. Like he shows up like this to talk to Jerry Reinsdorf and all them. He's got the job. So he shows up like this. There's no way they're hiring him. So, yeah,
he's got that. He's that bald. Look at that. You could tell that's that's a prototypical guy that barely survived as a pro constantly. It's like the dude probably didn't shave. He probably was the dude that everyone crushed beers with, but he also was like a hard ass. And but then sometimes he had to clean up so that you made me fucking shave. Are you kidding me right now? I look like a fat baby bird. So it's that's even funnier. That's probably the most miserable he's been is when he had probably shaved because he looks like a guy that loves to grow that beard out.
And then Brian in the comments, I think White Sox fans really need to let the idea of Ozzie Guillen coming back. You just gotta let that go for a couple reasons. But you actually touch on it in the comments here, Brian, and tell your stupid kids to keep their mouth shut. That's never gonna happen. It's never gonna happen. I mean, they are entertaining sometimes. I mean, yeah, I don't think that's ever gonna happen. But so you got to start there, and I think it was the last time we actually. Beef, we were talking, I don't know if it was Twitter, we've talked too much, but we were talking about firing Nick Mangino.
Yeah, Frank. Frank Manichino. Yeah, you got to get rid of
names on the show.
Frank. You know what's funny is like they got hot when Cairo took over. And he was, you could tell he was one of the guys hiding, looking for a life vest in the Ken Rosenthal article.
Yes.
And then like they haven't scored in like a week. They have like 3 runs in the last 7 games. I mean, they have some tonight, but they've been on it. And he was hiding like spaghetti. I don't know if you ever seen that show where the guy's like hiding behind the bush. That's how he is in the dugout right now, trying to not to get fired because the offense came crashing down after that one little hot streak. I assume he's probably going to be out the door at the end of the season. I would think.
For some reason in my head, I see them cleaning house except for cats, which I know Fids, you don't agree with that.
I don't not agree with that. I think, I mean, of all the people, I think in this whole scenario, I think that Katz is the least of the problems. But he still was handling the pitching staff in some of these. I feel like it's much easier and it's very simple to just blame Tony La Russa for every single decision that was made that was terrible, especially with the pitching staff, when a pitching coach usually is the one that makes those calls. That is usually when they're canned and when they're dusted. So, you saw some regression, you saw some progress. I mean, I think what he did with Dylan Cease right there is alone probably worth keeping a guy around if Dylan Cease wants him around, period. And I think that's fine. But I do think that letting him off the hook, because, it's easy to just say it's all Tony's fault, move on, and ignore all the other glaring issues that there are that are a lot bigger than people realize. And I think that Katz of the rest of the McEwing needs to be fired into the sun. He needs to be waved around into the sun, actually. And then you've got, something like Katz, who is really good at what he does, and he's an up-and-coming guy. I don't think you really let him go. At least you let him interview for the job, and I think you let the new guy decide if this is someone you want on his staff, because Katz is going to go somewhere and do all right. Like, he's going to be fine. But the new manager is going to I would personally think that a new manager should get to bring their dudes in, period. And that's one thing that I think Tony didn't know who to fuck to bring in, because Tony is disconnected from all the new hot bods, I guess, if you will. So he brought in. He brought in.
Probably in homes.
Yeah, they're literally like the end of Citizen Kane, when they're interviewing fucking what's his name in the retirement committee, and he's begging just stick me in a stogie, please. I'll talk to you about the pitching coach job if you smuggle me in a stogie. No. I mean, you need someone that's new and fresh.
I haven't watched Citizen Kane in a while, but that sounds like it gets.
I don't remember
weird.
that.
Yeah.
No, yeah, it's his best friend. He's the interview. He's in the retirement community. He's like, these old nurses. The doctor says I shouldn't be smoking these, but just put it in a paper bag, and they won't know. They won't know much. But anyway, you want a guy that's going to be able to pick their staff. And so, I mean, Katz is young. He's the same age. If you bring in a young guy, they might actually click. Who knows? But I do think you should let the next guy decide who they're bringing in as a staff.
That's fair. I think that's fair. I mean, I think
it's fair to the new manager. Like, who the hell wants to go to battle without their dudes? Like,
yeah. So that's interesting, but I got to think that. Yeah, I mean, in my head, they're all gone except for, I don't know. I feel like Katz has earned it with the season Cease has had. I mean, Giolito's had a really bad year, but I think everyone's kind of chalking that up to the creatine.
Can we keep Kurt Hassler around on the staff? He was a Bradley grad, so I'd like to keep Kurt too.
Put in the good word for him, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, and then I guess the other fairy tale that White Sox fans need to stop telling each other and themselves is that Hahn and everybody, the front office, we talked about this last week, but just to reiterate it, Beef, while you're here, the one thing that Rick Hahn has done really, really, really good his whole tenure here with the White Sox is made Jerry Reinsdorf money.
I thought you were going to say his hold on to his job.
No. I guess those kind of go hand in hand.
Between him and Mother Nature, I think Jerry bring everybody into the ballpark constantly on rainouts to buy snacks and beers before they can the game. I think.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd love to see the P&L after this season, though, because the operating expenses were higher than they've ever been. You know, they really pushed the payroll hard. And I'd love to see kind of what it looks like. And maybe it wasn't as profitable as the seasons past. I know the gate was down the last 2 months, almost double-digit percentage. We did have a good crowd for the Tigers over the weekend, where the White Sox didn't do anything. But I'm kind of curious if that's holding as strong as we think it might be holding, kind of the way it's been.
Well, out of anybody on this current show right now, you would know more than any of us. So, I mean, you've seen it at the park. You guys basically can declare residency there. So,
yeah, I mean, the attendance for sure was in decline in the second half, and particularly in the weeknights. You know, in 2021 when the team was contending down the stretch on the weeknights, you'd get a good healthy crowd, and this was like, you know, the past couple. I mean, the non Tuesday against Cleveland, which I wasn't at that game, but the Wednesday and Thursday were small crowds. They were like rebuild crowds, and so I expect that's how it's going to be when Minnesota comes here to kind of finish it up. So I don't know where they end up landing as far as attendance, but I assume it'll be down adjusted for limited capacity last year, because at one point they had limited capacity because of COVID restrictions.
well, yeah.
God, I mean, think about that too. How this was supposed to be the Vikings, the White Sox last weekend of the season, like, you know. This was supposed to be like the most epic closeout series. They're twins. Sorry, God.
Fire tonight, boys.
Oh my God, what is that? Oh, anyway, this was supposed to be like the most epic series you're supposed to be dealing with, and now it's like, who can actually? It's a shit off, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, Mitch, you're usually you attend a lot of games though.
Yeah.
Where do you hide when you go to the games, Mitch? Where are you sitting?
I'm usually just looking for deals.
Attaboy.
All over. One of my favorite spots is right behind home plate, like upper level, like first 2 rows around there. But outfield, I sit a bunch. The last one I went to was against Colorado, and it was like $10 seats right behind the dugout. Like they were giving those ones away because it was a day game. So
I remember how you told me how much you hate the right field corner. You thought that's like for a shithole.
Well, that's where the sophisticated fans are. So I understand why you hate it. I don't know if you saw my pinky out when I was drinking this tequila I have in my hand right now.
I was gonna ask, what is in the small glass?
We're just having a little Blanco tequila. That's all. Just a little bit wet the. I got to get the funny juice in here in order to perform correctly. So that's why.
Well, and you're heading out to California, so you got to get going.
I am. Yeah, I'm jumping a plane tomorrow night to San Diego. We're gonna go catch a couple games. Sox Padres at Petco. Should be fun.
Wow, the battle of mediocrity. Nice.
As the kids say, it's a mid-off.
It's a mid-off.
That was another series though that looked so exciting right after like the trade. It's like, well, the Sox are still going to be contending, and they just got Juan Soto. Like that'll be it. And now it's depressing for both sides.
Yeah, I mean, usually I drink Busch Light when we're doing the show, but it's getting so bad now. We're drinking a little Redbreast tonight. We got the whiskey out tonight. That's
attaboy.
Yeah, it's that bad, folks. It's that bad in the field, but
pretty accurate.
But
yeah, unless it's a road game, I'm making it.
Now we get to the tougher decisions, if you will, and that is the actual product on the field. We're going to be real. Look at it. I'm going to do this just so everyone knows, I'm definitely doing this just because Beef is on the show and I want to look like we're like sophisticated with it. But look at that.
Oh, look at you. Wow.
Screen capture with a column on the left.
How do I blow? No, it's a screen share. How do I make it bigger? That's what she said.
That's a good question we've all asked ourselves many times in our lives. And the answer is
there it is. There it goes.
You just answered the same life.
Big tech guy, Zoe. All right, so this is the 2023. These are guys that are getting paid already.
They sure are.
So we got Lance Lynn.
I'm going to go full screen so I can read that. Oh, there we go.
Lance Lynn coming back at 18.5.
Can I point out that literally the highest White Sox salary is it is what, $5.5 million less than Jason Hayward? Anyway,
I mean, they don't hand out the big money here. We all know that.
To answer Dave's question, Chad, Pollock will not be back next year. He will.
Yeah,
Pollock will not be back. He will make more money by declining that option because I think he gets a buyout with it, and then he could sign for like $8 million, I think it was, and still make more than he would opting in for the $10 million. There's no shot.
That's a bye-bye.
Well, actually, Mitch, just to slightly correct you there, he's had enough plate appearances where the 10 million is now accelerated up to 13 million because he exceeded 500 plate appearances. So if he opts in, it's 13. If he opts out, he takes 5 with him and he goes off. So then you're right. His break-even number would be 8 million signing with some other team. I'm curious if anyone wants a kind of short side of the platoon only, almost left field only outfielder at this point for $8 million. I think he actually will opt in and stay with this team unless for some internal reason he doesn't like playing in Chicago. Maybe that would be a reason to opt out. But I'd be surprised if at his age, be 35, if he ends up getting that sort of deal. I mean, that's him 1-10 for him for his production this year. I don't know. I would be surprised.
Yeah, you don't want to opt out at that point too, because I mean, unless he's got like a multi-year deal that's going to give him better guaranteed over like a couple of years, that would be something to opt out on. But yeah, if he got paid, let's be honest, he would that option would be way over market value if you were to sign him as on the open market for that price. So
I feel like he's the type of guy though, like he's big West Coast guy, right, Fitz? If I
Mm-hmm.
remember that
Absolutely.
correctly? Yeah. So I feel like he's the type of guy that if any team on the West Coast doesn't have to be like the Dodgers, probably not the A's.
It won't be the Dodgers. The Dodgers were done with him in 2020.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, it doesn't have to be like it could be like the Diamondbacks or somebody. If somebody offers him any kind of equal or a little bit more amount than the White Sox can, I think he's bouncing to go back west.
Yep. And I'm sure through the feelers, like obviously there's no open negotiation, blah, blah, blah. The feelers are out. He'll know what his market is. He'll know what he's going to get. He knows who's interested. And if he is, then, I honestly, for White Sox fans, I wouldn't shed a single tear if that dude is gone. Like,
Brian, I agree with you so much. Brian says, watch him put up a 4-WAR season in San Francisco.
Probably just because it's San Francisco.
I can see that 100% happening.
They have good.
But I mean, you look at the dead money, like Yasmani Grandal, this is dead money. I mean, when I say dead money, it means they can't get out of it.
They're not going to move it. They can't move it.
They can't move it. It's set. That's it. Moncada, I know he's on a 2-way kind of whatever. He's in his R3 year. He ain't going anywhere. Liam Hendricks is back for 14. TA's at pre-arb. I don't see that getting too crazy, especially with the second half of the season. You got Aloy at 9.5. Lubob 9.5. Joe Kelly. This pisses me off.
This is going nowhere.
This is the first one that pisses me off.
You guys were so pumped with Joe Kelly too, and because he is such a troll dick, but he just can't stay healthy.
But
Waiters were never in on Joe Kelly. We just were like, the guy's hurt walking in the door.
He's fun when he's healthy, man. He's a blast, but he's just not healthy.
Hand up, I was excited about Joe. The thought of a Joe Kelly, Liam Hendricks, I guess
should have been good.
In my brain, I just was picturing like super healthy, like on top of his game, Joe Kelly, not a guy at age 35 season declining. Like, I mean, God, it took you guys long enough to get this in the comments. But I'm gonna blow it up just for you, Beef.
Don't worry. I'm gonna give Sean a lot more ammo when we start talking about a certain decision.
I know. And we're getting there. This contract. So I personally have not been a fan of what Kendall Graveman has done this year. I know statistically, like he's been okay, but on the Zoe gut test scale, when Graveman comes into a game, I don't feel safe. I don't feel good.
I'm with you on this, though. He has been okay. Like the okay is right, but you can't pitch him on back-to-back days. He's a tire fire if you pitch him on back-to-back days. And you do get the nervous guts because he's more of a ground ball guy than a strikeout guy. And when you're putting that guy in the 8th inning, like, hey man, we don't have much. We don't got much more time to make up if your ground balls, see and get through these holes here. So it makes it a little scarier.
Our defense, let's be honest, there's more holes than there should be.
But exactly, Mitch. Totally agree.
The shift, like, did he get fucked because they were hitting it away from the shift? Now next year, that shift, maybe people will be right where they're supposed to be, and that's a weird thing too. I think that this is an off season where I think with pitchers, you've got to have like a weird, like it's a fractional percentage, I think maybe, but they're going to be seeing their defense is going to be slightly altered, which I don't know if that's good for them or bad for them. So, I mean,
yeah,
Locate might actually have a better chance of having success now in this league when you can't shift because they're going to just be like, well, all right, well, I'm going to make you hit it here then.
I'm sorry. I just thought that was just pissing me off with the screen share and the little.
Well, you wanted to see more of Beef.
I know.
Beef was too small. We need his
What?
picture needs to be more. Actually, let's go just go straight.
I guess I never really put
That's
too
right.
much thought into that though, Fids. Like how
Well,
much the banning of the shift will affect pitching.
It's not, like I said, a fractional percentage, but I think that confidence level for guys that have command, they're going to be able to do more with less. Because again, being able to put 5 dudes, basically like 5 dudes on the left side if you can, or maybe even 6 if you include the center fielder, that's gone now. You're going to have people that are actually maybe a step or two on those balls that sneak through. You might have a little bit of a bonus. So guys that can command it are going to have more success.
And then the other money on the books is you got that amazing contract to Lurie Garcia for $5.5 million.
Blue dog.
Be here in 24 also, Zoe, just in case you're wondering.
Yeah. Sure is. He sure is. Josh Harrison, I don't know. I know that's your guy, Beef. Jay Hay. Don't let Jay Hay
That's
get hot.
that's an option right there. And when you look at the free agent market at second base, it's pretty dismal. So it's not as unreasonable as you would think. Like the guy came in and he kind of gave you a Josh Harrison performance, which was okay. Would have been fine if the rest of the guys performed, but it hurt because you kind of got underperformances all across the diamond. His end of the year has been kind of ugly, especially on defense. Like the series in Oakland, it was like he couldn't pick a ground ball up all of a sudden. I don't know if he had the yips or what was going on.
Elvis did say he was open to coming back and playing second base. So there's always that possibility there, too.
Yeah, no, but there is a concern of Elvis coming back and turning back into Elvis. Like, because the Elvis we got for the last month is not Elvis Andrews. Some other guy hitting the hell out of the ball. Like I put a graph up on our podcast right when they signed Elvis Andrews to temper everyone's expectations on his hitting. Of course, he went absolutely nuts afterwards. And I put his OPS pluses up next to Lurie Garcia's. And over the last 4 years, before this season, Lurie Garcia was a better hitter than him. So it's like you might not get a great hitter out of there. Elvis's value is this great defender, and he's a smart base runner. That's where you get your value.
I'm going to argue that with Elvis. Elvis has always been a dude. He's always been considered to be one of the best, most gifted players in the league since he started coming up in the league. He's finally in a situation, at least with the White Sox for the last couple of years, where he's actually like in a competitive situation. I think that he's just better off when it's a competitive situation. I think that he's been stuck in purgatory for 2-3 years now at this point. And you look at his numbers in the seasons where his teams were good, he's more engaged. And I think that maybe that makes a difference. But I like him as a clubhouse guy. He's willing to play anywhere. You know what? That gives you options on the trade market as well. If he's willing to go sit somewhere else, if you guys are willing to build somewhere else, he's not a bad choice. But he's
so no offense, we don't need more clubhouse guys. We need more guys who produce because we tried the clubhouse guys and Josh Harrison didn't work out. Also, Elvis Andrews will be 35 next year. So there's going to be some downside in that.
If it comes down to it though, and it's either Josh Harrison or Elvis Andrews, I'm going to take Elvis Andrews. And also the reason why I'm not overly upset about the Elvis Andrews idea is because of what you mentioned, Beef.
Leary is a backup.
Well, it's slim pickings at second base. It's really slim pickings.
It is slim pickings, but Elvis has never played second base as a major leaguer. Not like not a single inning, like nothing. So it's a risk,
There's a guy on the free agent market with the last name Turner that if you paid him enough, he would probably play second base for you.
Are we talking about the same team?
Which team are we talking about?
Yeah,
I know. It's like that if your penis was 14 never mind. It doesn't. Yeah, it's
and
not
if
going to.
Frogs had wings, they wouldn't bump their ass when they hop. It's just like.
Could be my uncle's probably. I don't know.
But I don't think necessarily. I guess to the last thing on second base, though, the White Sox got a kid that
Carrie's dead right.
that's
Guy's 35. Never played third before. Let's do it.
That's the White Sox blueprint to a T.
Yeah, that's actually.
He's cheap. He's old, good clubhouse guy, and he's never played the position.
It's a very fair point.
A White Sox already.
But so we bring up Elvis and Lurie for second base and Josh Harrison, but I really think that Romy Gonzalez can show up and win the spot.
Yeah, so the early returns on Romy, like I wasn't paying too close attention to Romy. He came up last year, we got a little cup of coffee kind of end of the year. Mm-hmm. Came up again this year. I was like, whatever. He'd been hurt all year, and then he made a play where he was sliding into second, but then he was out by a mile, and he popped up and tried to jump over the second baseman. I'm like, okay, my man's got some athleticism. So I started paying a little attention to him. And in his first couple weeks up in the majors, he hit the ball with authority. The problem is the pitcher started figuring him out. So I don't know what his strikeout rate has zoomed up to so far, but it's like 35% or something. Like he has a problem putting the bat on the ball, so that could be an issue as like just handing him the everyday job. Danny Mendick is still around when he becomes uninjured. I mean, that's a possibility. Lenin Sosa is still there. I mean, the Sox have enough of this blob of stuff that is hanging around that either has options or is on the roster that they probably should just try one of them, right? I mean,
The White Sox definitely probably lead the league in having a blob of stuff because that's what they have almost at every position. The other two contracts that are on the books officially for next year, though, you have Aaron Bummer, who you just hope a guy like that bounces back.
He's good for the 20 games he pitches a year, I think. He's inevitably going to get hurt.
He's the guy who I felt Zola. Anytime he came in the game, if he had inherited runners, those guys were scoring 100%. Like I had the stake bet with Josh Nelson, and Aaron Bummer came in that game against Cleveland where they're blowing him out, and it was like 7-1 or whatever. And Bummer came in with a Lance Lynn runner on. And I really needed that runner to score to pump up the ERA, and he held out for the BeefLoaf, got that run in there. He's just kind of struggled with that part of the game, and the walk rate's been off the charts. You know, if we could get Aaron Bummer right. I mean, he's a beast, but they haven't been able to get him right in a couple of years. You know, that's the brutal part.
And then finally, my unofficial cousin, I still don't claim him as family, even though I have a very large White Sox family. Jake Diekman, Dickman, whatever you want to call him. Lefty specialist. He's on the books for 3.5. So the one, I mean, you have Dylan Cease going to ARB1. Giolito's going to be ARB 3. Romy's going to be pre-ARB. Kopech's ARB 1. Raylo's ARB 3.
You got some raises in there. Some money that is not showing up yet. That's going to be, it's going to pump this up another $20-25 million, right? I mean, Gio made 7.5 last year. And I don't think you can go down in our raise, even though he had kind of a lousy year. So let's round him to 8. I mean, Dylan Cease had a epic final non-ARB, pre-ARB year. I mean, what's he going to be at 5? Like start at 5 or somewhere in that range? Like, so there you go. There's Kopech will get a couple million. Raylo got 2.6 last year. I got to think with his excellent year as basically a setup guy, he's going to be above 3. I mean, you're starting to add like another $20 million from those ARB guys.
Right. And I mean, Adam Engel's ARB 3, and then
he's gone.
Yeah, he's gone.
I think we've seen the last of him.
Mitch, your boy, Sebi's pre-ARB. I mean, let's just get into it. And
I have to mention this. Aaron Judge's home run, by the way, was 117 miles an hour exit velocity.
I feel like there was a lot of walk frustration put into that. So let's get into the position. The biggest glob of stuff that the White Sox have, and that's going to be first baseman. We got him playing outfield. We got him DHing. We got him playing first base. We have guys that are probably going to get a statue built for them, which the White Sox, they spend money on a second baseman. Fuck that. Money on a statue, let's ride. But there's a lot going on there. So basically what I'm talking about is you got Gavin Sheets, you got Jose Abreu, you have Andrew Vaughn.
Jesus.
It's like that thing from The Office when they're like, tell me the difference of this pitcher, and it's like, oh, it's the same pitcher. But they're basically one and the same. Mitch, you're scaring me without your light. It got really dark there for a second. I thought you were about to kill somebody.
He was fading away.
But you have Sheets and Vaughn, who will be pre-ARB. And then you have Jose Abreu. I mean, it's Jose Abreu. You know what I mean? I don't know what else you could say about Jose Abreu. And before I flip it over, my vision is Gavin Sheets is the odd man out in this situation. I think Gavin Sheets, you need to move. I think Gavin's a great guy. I think he provided that left-handed bat at times. People need to remember that part. At times for the White Sox this season. Not the strongest outfielder, but I don't think he ever thought he was going to be an outfielder. But in my opinion, you keep Jose Abreu, you keep Andrew Vaughn. Andrew Vaughn, I think, is the goods. I think Andrew Vaughn's going to be the goods for a long time, and I just have just this utmost respect for Jose Abreu, and I giggle. Yes, I said giggle. I giggle when I see people just talk about how bad, like, oh, Jose, you just let Jose walk, or he leads the fucking league in hits.
Don't let him walk.
He's not. It's not like he's having some complete dog water year. Like he leads the league in hits. I don't know how else to spin that. Yes, the power numbers have been.
Yeah, everything else has been terrific though. The walk rate's up, and he's top. Last I checked, he's top 20 in WRC plus in the majors. He was flirting with top 10 a lot of the year. No, so you're right. It's a weird and tough decision because when you're looking at it from let's just throw our fandom out, because I agree with you. I love Jose Abreu. I want Jose Abreu to be Paul Konerko bad by the end here in Chicago. I want him to stink and be on the team, just like I wanted Paulie to be out there. And I don't want Paulie to play somewhere else. I wanted Paulie to finish here. And yes, he sucked in 2014. That's okay. I'm fine with that, or 13 or whatever year it was. It was his final year. The problem here though is on defense, because trying to keep Eloy Jimenez healthy has been a struggle. Mm-hmm. And so putting him at DH in the second half, he's third in the majors in WRC plus in the second half, just behind Aaron Judge and Nate Lowe. So, he's been lighting the world on fire as a DH, and he's only playing at 70 or 80%. He does not look healthy. He doesn't look like he can run, but he sure can hit, and Eloy started figuring out how to walk him. So he's taken that next step, right? He's popped up to the guy that we kind of all thought he would be. Now, people say let Jose walk, but that's because it's the easiest calculus, right? You don't have to think too hard to just say, that guy's already kind of out, let's just let him go. And so, for me, the calculus is you've got three guys for two spots, because you don't have to count on Eloy every day in left field. And you cannot put Andrew Vaughn in the outfield for a contending team. He's just shown out too poorly on defense. Kind of every metric you can run has him being the worst defender in baseball in outfield. And he doesn't hit enough where he can cover that up. So it's a choice of two of these three guys, Eloy, Andrew Vaughn, and Jose Abreu, with Sheets kind of trailing up the back. And when you're looking at it, yes, Jose Abreu is 35 years old, but he's also hitting the ball harder than he's ever hit the ball. The only thing that's been lacking here is the home runs. The batting average is high, the walks are high. He plays every day, even though he also looks hurt. So that looks great. You wonder what the market looks like for Jose Abreu. If someone's really going to step out and pay him some money in a 2 or 3 year deal, you might be pushed out of it. Mm-hmm. Secondarily, with Andrew Vaughn, he's the cheap guy, right? He's the guy who you have here. He doesn't cost anything. He's pre-arb. But most of his problems have to do with he's never kind of become the hitter we think he could become yet. Not saying he won't eventually become that, but we're in season 2, and I think coming into the night he had a 115 OPS plus. That's fine, but that's not I want that to be my everyday first baseman. I will block this better player from that spot in order to get it for him. You could try to trade Andrew Vaughn, but it has the same concerns, right? He's board locked to first base DH. So someone who you trade him to has got to really believe in that upside that a lot of White Sox fans absolutely do believe in, because I ran a poll the other day and mostly half the people wanted to let go of Jose Abreu. I think personally Eloy's untradeable. I would not because you couldn't get value, but I think this offense is just different when he's in there. Ever since in the second half when he came back, when we played Cleveland, when we played Houston, when we played a good team, they pitched around him. They were actively trying to avoid Eloy tearing them apart. And the White Sox don't have another guy like that. The only guys any teams do that are him and Jose Abreu. And so it makes kind of a weird calculus of which one are you going to choose? I don't know I know the easiest choice is let Jose Abreu walk. Probably the harder choices are trading any combinations of them. But I don't know what the best choice is. I'm completely unsure.
And you know what? Also, you talk about and this would be what you would consider a Jose Abreu quandary, correct?
That is correct. That's what I would consider.
By the way, if you guys haven't, check it out. Beef wrote a really, really great piece about the Jose Abreu quandary. And actually, and Zoe, this is might be breaking news on this podcast. I agree with Beef. I think that the best option forward might actually be selling Andrew Vaughn.
Wow.
I never thought I'd hear that.
But not because he sucks, not because he's a flop, but because when it comes to absolute value, the White Sox might be able to get themselves a solid back end or 3, 4, 5 starter, as well as maybe even fill in a gap or a hole that they have at second base. And you'd hate to see a guy leave that way. But I think that Jose Abreu has at least 1 year at first base left in him. And I think you would, especially if you go like with a 1 year and a club option in case it does fade, he can switch to that DH, and maybe perhaps you spend the season developing Eloy as a safety guy. But if not, you cross that bridge when you get there. The White Sox have too much talent to wait and say, let's play out the 2 year game. You're going on 2023 and 2023 alone. You hope that you bring in the right decision maker, the person that does it, but you want to have your optimal lineup for 2023. And if you're not serious, because 2024 things get worse. Your farm system's dying. Yeah, Montgomery's on his way, but Montgomery's not going to carry everything. You go 2023 or die, and you do what you got to do, which might mean selling Andrew Vaughn. Now, if you want to sell him to the Cubs,
here's the pitch, right?
I was waiting for that.
willing to part with a very good shortstop in our, a top 10 ranked shortstop in he's a top 10 prospect in the Cubs org. So.
See, I don't know. I don't think, and I get the bad defense thing. The defense is the problem. I think you still can function and keep all three. So because one, like Jose Abreu, like we said, everything he's done for the organization, he hasn't really shown he's fallen off. Like, I think that's just a guy that you need to keep there, especially for all the stuff he does in the clubhouse as well as the on-field production. And by the way, he's one of the only people that stays healthy, which is a problem with this team. Andrew Vaughn's been consistently the best hitter this year. And especially with the defense, like, look, he's not a left fielder, but I think the big problem was he had 2 first basemen in the corner outfields for the majority of his outfield tenure. If you have Robert healthy most of the time and you get a legitimate right fielder and or left fielder, someone that can cover that ground, it makes his job a little bit easier there in right or left or wherever they put him. But for most of his time, is either Eloy in left while he's in right or Gavin Sheets out in right field too. So you get 2 terrible outfielders, so it's making his job harder. Now, if you get Robert out there with a legitimate outfielder, you can shade Robert, I guess, a little bit more, and you can kind of hide his deficiencies. But he's too good of a hitter, too. And then when Abreu does fall off, if you bring him back, Andrew Vaughn's your future first baseman. So I think Sheets would be the odd man out. And then Eloy, like you said, he's been a stud. You can't really get rid of him either. I don't know. I think you could still function with those 3 if you make the right moves around them to kind of help them and put them in a little bit of a better position. And hell, you can even platoon them a bit, too. But I think you can still function with all 3 of them where you don't need to trade Andrew Vaughn. I think that's just stupid to me, and so would be letting Abreu walk.
By the way, can I be very clear on this? I don't think I would hate for anybody to trade Andrew Vaughn, but I think that if you could trade Andrew Vaughn for double value and get something that's, like his 100%, maybe their 100% combined fits the needs of the organization,
right?
You got to do it, but. And you might kick your own ass. Look at what's his name in New York now. The Cubs traded, to get a Aroldis Chapman for a half a year. What's his name? The big boy. And you know what? It happened. You know what? You don't cry a tear because you know what you won. And that one World Series is definitely worth 7 years stretched out of, hey, what could have been? So I don't know.
So can you put up Brian S.'s comment? Because I put this as kind of the last part of the blog, and that was
this one.
Yeah, no, Brian S. No, the one where he talks about Abreu walk and trade Vaughn. So the last thing I put in my blog was you could choose to let Jose Abreu leave and you could trade Andrew Vaughn because the White Sox do have a glut of these first base types that they don't really know what to do with. And in that instance, what you would do is you would give Gavin Sheets the everyday job, kind of the platoon side, and he hits righties. And you'd have Jake Berger on the roster, and he would hit the lefties, and those guys would share first base. Sheets can flex to right field. He's a non-terrible right fielder. He's not any good at it, but he's okay. You can do it a day or 2 a week, and you could do a day a week of Jake Berger at third base. It might make most of us vomit, but you could then at least make usage of some of this excess you have, right? You're not going to get anything if you try to trade Gavin Sheets or Jake Berger. No one cares, right? Vaughn, you could possibly get something for. I'm sort of lower on the totem pole of what I think you could get, and that's why I think they're probably just going to end up holding him and kind of waiting for the breakout. Because I put in my blog that I think if they could get a Jake Cronenworth from San Diego or Brandon Lau from Tampa and finish off second base, I would do that in a heartbeat. But I'm not sure if his market value is there because when you look at the first baseman market for this offseason, first base DH, it's extremely strong. And he has yet to take that step where you're like, okay, he's a guy like this. He's got the potential. He's got the pedigree. He hasn't quite done it yet. He hasn't quite shoved Jose Abreu out the door. So I don't know if there's a team willing to pay back, kind of bang on the comb like that.
By the way, another wrinkle in this is who's going to be the GM. So it depends
I
on.
don't think, like I said, Han's not going.
Han's like,
He's Teflon Han because he makes Jerry money.
Teflon Han, that's right.
did he grab Tony La Russa's like body and just like?
No, he makes Jerry money.
He was like shield.
You said Loaf, and as much as I would like to, if the White Sox could figure out a way to get Low, if Andrew Vaughn went to the Rays, he's going to win the Triple Crown.
Hey, these trades could hurt. Like the idea of trading an Andrew Vaughn or trading Eloy Jimenez, they go somewhere else and tear the world on fire. I mean, like these are trades that could hurt. I mean, this is not nothing. You know,
of all the things that Alex Rude has taught me in my life, which there's very few, but one of them was riding the train back and getting a lift back to the Airbnb when we partied in the 108 that one time. But another one was never trade for pitching with the Devil Rays.
No, you never.
Ever.
You never. Well, you shouldn't.
Well, this was a second baseman I was trying to trade,
Yeah,
not for a pitcher.
No, I'm gonna
go
one step further.
In general, at this point.
You don't trade with the Rays in general.
Yeah,
You don't trade with the
You
Rays.
always just ask Detroit. how it worked out for them.
Yeah, you don't
That's
trade.
right.
Don't do it.
If they traded Vaughn to
It's
the Rays
washed.
for Lowe would get hurt the third game of the year, and Vaughn would win the Triple Crown.
Alex with like the wise nugget to never get just fleeced
Let's
by the
avoid
Devil
that.
Rays or the Rays. Yeah, stay away. No, block that number even if you can.
I just think Gavin Sheets is the odd man out. I just think.
I agree.
I mean,
He should be theoretically, unless you.
I
Get
mean,
like
Sheets has an option, so he doesn't have to go anywhere. You can
That's
just send him to
true.
Charlotte and hold him. You know,
Baltimore. Baltimore will see his splits at their home park. And, I think we could get a pretty good bat back.
But you're an idiot if you don't listen to everything. Like, listen to someone's offer.
I'm not taking like a 3 or 4 starter though for Andrew Vaughn, like just to add some pitching depth. Like it has to be a substantial return if I'm going to make that move.
A 3, 4, 5, and a starting second baseman that can actually play, like a good one.
Well, and Mitch, I think what you're thinking right there is probably how the White Sox see him as well. They see the pedigree and potential, and they think we're not just filling one of these holes with him. We think he's going to become a superstar. And now let's cross our fingers and hope he does, because I think a lot's going to be weighing on him if they let Jose Abreu walk. I mean, just looking at WRC Plus for these guys for the year, Eloy's at 150, Jose Abreu's at 135, Vaughn's at 118. So Vaughn's going to have to pop up and kind of cover the Jose Abreu difference there, and then you're going to have to hope for some dead cat bounces from these other fellas that are not producing.
and then the other big wrench in this plan is, there's a very good chance that Oscar Colas breaks camp with this team and starting in right field.
Alex Rude is correct. Write the players down that the Rays want and never trade those guys. At this point, they got to be good at faking, though. They got to be good at telling you who they want, and then they really want some other guy. They got to figure that out.
Zigzagging now. They're not just zig-zagging. Like they're going the double zigs.
And literally, as we're talking about this, Andrew Vaughn hits a single in the top of the seventh.
Of course.
My man.
RBI single, but the White Sox are still
Beautiful.
good. But yeah, what I'm saying is, though,
Middle infielders in the Cubs org.
stop trying to push Cubs players on us.
Damn it.
Oscar
We're
Colas.
going to free agent seek out Abreu then.
But Oscar Colas, though, every level they put him at, I mean, it almost seemed like he didn't give a shit when he was in Kannapolis. But AA, AAA, he just keeps hitting. And I mean, we're not talking about some 17, 18-year-old kid. This is a 24-year-old man. He's older than you, Mitch. Like, you just got to, like.
Damn, he threw man and older than you, Mitch. Like, that was really salty how you
But
did
I'm
that.
just saying, like,
I think you're.
you don't need to do, like, wait and see with this guy anymore. I think we've seen it. Like, if he has a decent spring training, I really think he breaks camp with the White Sox as a starting right fielder.
You should.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see it because it's an extremely cheap move. It's a very cheap move to not go find a guy. And also, the free agent market isn't that strong this year. I mean, let's be perfectly honest with us. In general, the free agent market's not that strong. So I'm not going to defend them. They should go out and get a right fielder and then have Oscar Colas push that right fielder out of the position. Like, that's what I want to see. I want to see the talent come up and shove them out of the way. I want to see, like, Colson Montgomery on fire coming up and say, all right, we need to put him on this roster, find a spot for the guy. That's kind of what you want to see. And Colas, I guess, is kind of doing that. So, I mean, he's with his performance at Double and AAA this year, he's the one guy who's kind of doing that. But I would love for them to add a player okay, that player's got to go to the bench, and now Oscar, it's your job.
You know, but can you not deal with, like, you should deal in absolutes. Like, this isn't an absolute though. Like, so again, in the window, do you deal these guys should not be expected to come up to the show and actually produce like a superstar when they're not ready. This is an unacceptable like weight to throw on some poor kid trying to like get his cup of coffee too, though, is to think that his first time ever seeing major league everything, he's got to be like the guy to help carry someone to like a world champion.
That's true.
Nobody's that good. Like, even, I mean, you look at
that's what the Braves are doing with their whole roster, though. They bring a guy up and he's got 4 wins in half a season.
50 of them, they can all hide. But Victor, what up?
I want one of those guys to come up for the White Sox once.
No, you need like 17 of them if they're going to be comfortable. So right now, that's not going to happen. Colson Montgomery's not going to be the guy that fixes everything. You have to like. You're going to unfortunately have to like rip some Band-Aids off too. But it's unfair for Colas to be like expected to come up and be like a game changer. Like, the dude's going to be like, holy shit, where am I at? What city? Who are these tall dudes that dot the strike zone as if it's like breakfast and putting a spoon in their mouth? This is elite. This is the elite of the elite of the elite. And he may be gifted, but stop throwing this poor guy like and be like, make him, hey, if next year we're going to win a World Series because Oscar Colas is coming up. God, that poor kid. No, don't let that poor kid hear those words. That's not okay. Hey, if Oscar Colas can contribute to a world championship in any way he can, even with limited like options and moments, that's fine. But you can't throw that on the kid. Like, they need to put somebody in front of him that wears those bullets, and then he can come in and like swoop. But you don't start the season with him as your guy. That poor kid will. It will break him.
I don't know. I don't think
unless he earns it in spring training. Like, if he fucking makes 450, yeah, well, you ride the hot air. Hell yeah. But
I want to see more of a competition.
Don't force
it. Like, yeah, but that'll be very interesting. I mean,
Colson Montgomery though. Can we just
Colson Montgomery's a year away.
Take a pause for a second.
At least a year away.
Well, we thought he was 3 years away a year ago. So if you do the math, he's actually only 6 months away. But no, yeah, he's not ready yet. But
he had a hell of a season, though. White Sox minor league player of the year. I mean, and that's with Oscar Colas and all these other guys. But
he needs some friends. He needs to learn how to win at the lower levels with some friends.
Well,
that time has already passed. He ain't gonna be at the lower level. He can be a AA next year, and if he hits the shit out of the ball, he's gonna be in Chicago soon. Like, don't push him. Like, he's been a monster so far.
I've said it enough.
What do you think you can get for him in a trade, Zoe? How about let's go down this road. What will you get for Colson Montgomery in a trade? I was thinking about him a little bit because I was like, well, they have one really good minor league asset. I know Colas is sneaking in the top 100, but like you said, he's older, so it's a little tougher to trade those guys that are 24 already, right?
Right.
But Montgomery's 20, and he's shot up in the top 50 across the board. I mean, when I was looking at this, like, and I'm not married to this idea yet, but what about building a deal? Go to Miami and say we want Sandy Alcantara, and he's our headliner, and then we'll build you some other stuff around this, and go get yourself an ace. Down there. He's on a controlled contract. I mean, I think he's at 5-56 was his deal. I think he's a year or two into it, but
I don't hate that. I don't hate that.
Fitz, I can't hear you when you do that thing where you talk really close to your microphone. What?
Ooh, I was doing ASMR. Sorry, I was just saying. You want to say a Suzuki and Marcus Stroman? Well, we'll take Montgomery.
No, we don't.
No. Stop doing that.
Tried.
I wouldn't be against it. I mean, if Montgomery can land them like a bona fide ace or something that can, Miami definitely laughs you up.
That's what I thought too. I was like spitballing because I was like, man, who could really use a guy, and then kind of what could you get back?
I guess it doesn't even need to be like an ace. It could just be, a good 3, and then something else, but.
You want something you want to deal with absolutes, people proven. If you're going to trade a prospect, you want proven. Like, that's why you trade them. You trade for proven talent. If you have guys that have potential talent. Now, will Montgomery be able to do it and maintain this as they make adjustments? You never know until you know. Like, it's a weird part about prospects, and it's like the stock market. Sometimes you sell high, you sell low, you sell on potential. Sometimes you sell on misconceptions. And these guys put together these kind of packages, and sometimes it wins. And Montgomery, he's good, man. He's really good. But if you could package
he had a
him into
rough
something
go.
that fixes more, you almost got to do it. Again,
Well, especially because it's your window right now. Like, as nice as Colson Montgomery would be, and it would hurt to see him raking 3 years down the road, like, that's not going to help us because by then, like, the window's closed. So you got to take advantage of the window you got now. If you got to trade him, you got to trade him.
Bingo. That's it.
Yeah. And I mean, he did have a rough go, as pointed out in the comments, when he got to Birmingham. But that's what I'm not saying he's breaking camp with the fucking White Sox. He's very much a prospect.
But he better get an invite to camp.
Yeah. Well, he will. But
if he rakes, he better stay.
I think he's the White Sox's biggest trade chip in the minor leagues.
Oh, absolutely.
For
He's the
sure.
best prospect. This is the best prospect, of course.
And I mean,
Yeah, he's a
the
very
other guy
good trade candidate too. Just saying, when we were doing the trade analyzer, Seb, absolute unit.
the other guy that
he's
if
so
I was the
good,
White
though.
Sox, I
Sorry,
would think
he's
about
just so good.
moving to make a deal to. I mean, you get something good for Liam Hendricks. I pull the trigger.
So Liam helps you in that way too because he alleviates some of the payroll stress. He's still been very good too.
Yeah,
I
you
would
could
trade
put
Liam
guys that
before
can
I
get
trade
free
Allen, if I'm being honest. Like,
I mean
that guy Mitch.
I would trade Liam Hendricks before, like, a lot easier before, like, trading Andrew Vaughn. And everyone wants to trade Vaughn this offseason, but I would trade Hendricks first.
Yump, I disagree. This is not selling off. This is actually just fine tuning. This is actually fine. These are called tweaks.
Because we got Shea who throws gas. We got Raylo, Graveman thrown late in. Like, there's guys that you can have and be a closer. Would they be good? No, but they.
You fill in the little gaps. You're putting fingers in the. Sorry, I mean not. I'm talking an old. You're putting fingers in the dike. Okay, so you're trying to fill in the holes where there are leaks.
Yep, allegedly.
God, so much there. Anyway, but you're now at this point you're fine tuning. This is actually retooling. This is what retooling is. You should have been good this year. Some things didn't work out. Now we're going to kind of move a couple pieces around on the chessboard, and we're going to see how these play out, and we'll make adjustments at the trade deadline. Now, who is in charge of that trade? Who's in charge of that? We're not sure yet. Hopefully it's not Han, but he might just get a Diekman and call it a day. But I like the idea that you shuffle. There should be. You need to fill those gaps. You have to.
And honestly, it would make sense. Like, now would be the time to trade Hendricks because he still had an all-star season, but his numbers took a dip from they had the last 2 years. And the arm thing concerns me. Like, he's having the arm issues, and it's not going to get any better unless he has Tommy John necessarily. So now would be the time to move him if you're going to, because his stock is still relatively high.
Yeah, and I mean, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. I mean, this is probably arguably one of the most disappointing, most frustrating, biggest just letdown of the team the White Sox have rolled out. There's going to be moves that need to be made. Like, you can't just roll the same team out and expect it to be better, because as much as people like to believe or not believe, the manager doesn't make that big of a difference. I know it's a layup for people to just blame, it's because of Tony. I mean, probably didn't help, but like, I don't think that's going to make that big of a difference. Now, on paper, this team looks very good, but it didn't work. So you got to make some changes, and that's going to take trading one of the big names. And if when they give me my weekly call this week and they ask me who we should start dealing, first name on the list is, I'm gonna Liam Hendricks, man. Start listening.
Always listen. Always optimize. Well, I mean, I'd say you optimize 93 wins because that's
here's a great stat from friend of the show and one of the hosts over there at CHGO, one of the leaders in the Fuck BeefLoaf 2020 movement, Sean Anderson. He just tweeted out the White Sox top 4 home run hitters, 4 players combined, 62 home runs. Aaron Judge just hit his 61st home run tonight.
We beat him. All right.
Oh, are we gonna? So is this gonna be the entire offseason? By the way, like putting combinations of players from each team, and comparing it to like Aaron Judge's production, which is prodigious.
That's
Yeah.
all. That's all they got. That's all they got in the holster. That's all.
But-
I want the random stats. So I'm like, Nico Horner and Nick Madrigal combined for only, but Aaron Judge, 61. Like that's gonna be like all.
No, I think it just more shows though how just pathetic the power numbers were for the White Sox.
Oh well, I mean he's
It's just
Judge is a freak.
Xander wants to leading the team with 17.
Yep.
Yeah,
It sure is. Yep.
Yeah, if you have a team with less than 20, you're
That's bad. It's bad. And I hit her
Really
from the ballpark too. It's not like we're playing in Detroit. Like that's what's so sad about.
and then
Yeah,
an era where
Vaughn's
they
got 17, and then Abreu, Eloy, and Gavin Sheets all have 15.
Yeah.
and it's an era where they've actively tried to increase and actually disadvantage the pitchers too. Like this is, I mean, they have gifts though. Like it was taking it from the gifts, but this is an era. Like if you don't have dudes that hit, like I mean, sorry, Patrick Wisdom hit 22 home runs and played like 100 games this year. Like, and he struck out like 75,000 times too. But even the shit hitters are hitting 25 home runs at this point with the exit velo, lift and pull like mentality. And so it is.
Fitz, is this you commenting or is this Aldo?
That's Aldo, I think. I
Didn't
write-
join the show. He's upset at me, and then he tweets that.
I love the fact that Aldo is literally doing that though. That's freaking fantastic. That
But
is
so-
amazing.
Beef, obviously, you've started looking at the free agent class of 2023, and I mean, there's names that they're technically free agents, but they like Nolan Arenado's not going anywhere.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
He's opting out, but he's
yeah,
get
he's
more
going to
money.
opt out, and then he's going to get his 35
unless
to 40 million dollars to stay.
unless
whatever.
the Cardinals bitch out. If the Cardinals try to pull like a bullshit move and he's like, I'm on to you bitches, he will sign somewhere else. These
I
guys
don't see
will do that.
happen.
Well, I mean, I think the Cardinals
feel
are
like
smart. Cardinals will actually pay. That's what they do.
He's bought into the Cardinal way and all that other bullshit.
He's not taking a pay cut.
He ain't going
Not
nowhere.
taking a pay. He's not taking a pay cut though. They'll pay it or he won't. Like that's it. That's the truth.
But is there a name that stands out to you though that you on your first run through? And again, I understand it's the first run through. It's September, late September, whatever. But is there a name that stands out that you're like, this guy could help and it's doable? I mean, you could say Aaron Judge, but I'm going to just mute you. But
Right. I was gonna say there's guys that solve half the problem, right?
right.
There's guys like you could go get Jock Peterson and he'll solve the power problem,
Oh,
but he
you
smells in the outfield. Like he stinks bad, like some of these other guys stink on defense. And you can
Yep.
go get a guy who's a defense first kind of outfielder, and then they're not gonna provide you the stuff at the plate. I mean, the name I've heard bandied about a lot is Brandon Nimmo.
That
And
comes-
I'm not a fan of Brandon Nimmo because one, the power's not there, and two, he does the bullshit eyewash fake hustle where after a walk he sprints to first base. I don't trust the teacher's pet. No offense, Fids, I know you're a teacher, but I don't trust the teacher's pet on my team. I need my guys that I can try, and he's a cop. He's a narc. I don't trust him, so he's out. Yeah, no, Nimmo is out for me. Sorry, Will. You like him? I don't like those type of guys. Those guys. Those are the teacher's pets. They're out on my side. The free agent market is weak. It's very top heavy, and it's either in positions we have already or things we can't afford. So it's a tough spot for Han because he stinks dealing kind of a middle to bottom of the market. He's been pretty bad at all that for his entire career.
Teachers' pets are the ones that you keep closer. Like, keep your friends close, but your enemies closer. Teachers keep their teacher's pet closer because they know that those fuckers are going to narc too. If you like,
I believe it. Yeah, I believe that.
So, no, teachers don't even trust the teacher's pet. Teachers' pets are untrustworthy. So you're right.
Yeah, I mean, just looking, I agree with you. It's extremely top heavy. I don't think there's anybody here that the White Sox are going to go out and pay.
It's got to be the trade market. You gotta trade. You gotta make it. You have to make move. You have to flip around the dynamic to get max value. That's it.
It just makes me laugh though, because you see some of these guys' names and you just start to smile because you could see the White Sox making like a Noah Syndergaard, and them trying to sell us like this is like the fucking sick ass signing.
Well, I was actually
Syndergaard.
looking, thinking they're probably going to get kind of a mid to lower end lefty to balance out the rotation. So it's going to be like in the Martin Perez, Jose Quintana category of guy who's kind of older, they had a good year, but you don't know if they'll have another good year back to back. Like, I think that's the market they'll be in, like for the starting pitcher, like just to balance it, because there's no lefty like on the come in the organization, and then the 4 that are incumbents are all righties. So I would assume they'll add one.
Well, and funny too with Quintana, like, yeah, no, here are the highlights from 2015.
I don't watch any Cardinals games, but Quintana's been pretty decent for them, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's had a good year.
They'll blame him because he played for the Pirates. He didn't win enough, but then that's the same thing that people blamed that why his record was what it was with the White Sox when he came to the Cubs and was a guy that couldn't be there when it was most important because he cut his fucking hands doing the dishes. So it's not okay. I know White Sox fans love Quintana, but Quintana stole from the Cubs. So
More like your dumbass general manager stole from the Cubs by trading for him. It's not his fault.
Yeah.
Like, poor Jose Quintana, all he's ever done has been like a solid middle of the road starter, and he just gets trashed on everywhere he goes. It's not his fault.
Middle of the road.
There you go, Mitch. Good. You got points there for the one-way turning. Thank you. Bless
There
you.
go. Boom. It wasn't his fault that he was sold as like a number 2. I remember Cubs fans and the Cubs media selling him as a 2 or 3, maybe even an ace. That's not because of what he did in the World Baseball Classic. No. And then Dylan sees.
That's not on him though.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I'm still I mean, they're not going to pay for Trey Turner.
No.
Not going to pay for any of these guys.
I mean, but if they did,
they're not going to.
They could do. Like how can you shake it out? Like how can you shake it out and make it hurt for the White Sox enough where they actually say, if we don't do this, it's actually a negative in the pocketbook? Because it seems like that's what really matters. I feel like that actually pushed the Cubs up a year. I think the Cubs were willing to wait, and then this year attendance was down. They lost millions. Nope.
Yeah,
They're like, all right, we're gonna go. We're gonna actually spend probably.
I don't think there really is anything though. Like, and I am fully in my head, in my universe, Jacob deGrom is going to the Braves in this
You
offseason.
think so?
I've said it like this is like the 4th time I've said it. I don't know why. I don't have any rhyme or reason. I just see the Braves just opening up the checkbook and just taking Jacob deGrom from the Mets, and it's going to be like a huge fucking deal.
I feel like it's like a Dodger. I think he basically has to choose. He's going to choose between like intense East Coast, laid back West Coast. We're all screwed anyway.
Yeah, I mean, see, this is Dave.
So-
I appreciate you watching the show, and you're always in the conversation. But like, this is the shit we're getting to. Where this is what I was talking to at the beginning of the show, where like people are just pissed off, and like Luis Robert's gonna get his wrist fixed. He's been playing hurt for like a month. He said today, I think it came out, he was doing in the press scrum or whatever. He said like,
good painting, by the way.
I was playing hurt. I was developing bad habits. I wasn't helping the team. I shouldn't have pushed the play. Blah blah blah. He'll probably get some work done, whatever, in the offseason. He'll be fine. Tim Anderson was an all-star starter. I don't know how, but people forget that. Like, he had a really good first half of the season. Playing hurt, some off-the-field shit was going down. Like,
Allegedly.
like, but like,
Thank you, Mitch. I was waiting. You.
But I mean, I think those guys are fine. I don't,
I think Luis got plenty of blame. People were calling him soft all over the internet. Man. He's got a ton of blame. And Tim Anderson has cheap options going forward. I mean, you're not just letting him walk away for $12 million. I mean, you're paying him $12 million next year because he's going to make that value even in a half year. So, yeah, I think both guys got tons of blame. Anderson stunk after he came back from the first injury, right? Yes. He was brutal, kind of for a good chunk of the season before he got hurt in Texas. So, I mean, I think those guys all got a lot of blame. I mean, I think there was plenty of blame to go around, and materially, the guys who deserved it got it.
No, I think that's fair. And I mean, I don't know what world some of these people live in where like these guys aren't getting just constantly shit on. I can't like open up the Twitter.com app without seeing someone shitting on on Moncada, someone shitting on Luis Robert. It's constant here.
I'll even shit on Dylan Cease when I have to.
Yeah, that's a wild take by you, by the way. The one fucking glimmer of hope we've had this season. Beef's like, that looks good. I'm going
to blew that game. He blew that game. I mean, there's nothing else to say about it. It's funny. I
baseball and war.
Well, I was just talking about that one game, not his entire year's performance. But it's funny. I tweeted that, and we went on Redline Radio, and White Sox Dave's asking me. He's like, what the hell was what was up with this tweet? And I said, yeah. He goes, they were really piling on you. I said, well, yeah. I tweeted it drunk after the game. I was pissed off, and I was like mad about it. And like when you drink a little too much, and then you wake up the next day, kind of have that little sadness over you until it wears off, like because booze is a depressant. And like when I first woke up, I was like, oh man, I shouldn't have tweeted that. That was foolish. It was a dumb tweet. And then as it wore off later in the day, I was like, fuck that. I was right. He shouldn't have given up a home run to some bum. They should have won that game. I need my ace in there. And then the next start was the Minnesota start. And he gave up nothing for the entire start. So I was like, that's my ace. I like to see my ace bounce back like that.
It's okay. He's like, look, knee-jerk reactions while you drink are okay. Like, if it's consistent negativity over the course of time, then we have problems. And I think that you agreed with yourself. So
No,
that's not me. That's not my sauce.
Let
By
me
the
throw
way,
a name out at you
you
guys.
going to San Diego?
I am going to San Diego. Yeah, I leave tomorrow.
No, is MSS going to San Diego?
No, he's not.
So your actual best tour guide's not even going.
I've been to San Diego a few times, so I've got family out there. I'll figure out my way around. But yeah, he's not going to make it.
I heard he stayed a night or two.
He may have.
Let me throw a name out
West Coast.
because this one is. I'm literally still this such a long list. Mitch Haniger. I feel like Mitch Haniger is a guy that the fucking White Sox fans have wanted. It feels like for 10 years. Like it's like every trade deadline, every offseason is like, what about Mitch Haniger? Let's go get Mitch Haniger. He is a free agent.
By the way, Mitch Hedberg is who I thought of, which is
Mitch Haniger is a free agent going into this offseason.
How old is he?
32. He's. I've looked at him. I've looked at this. So he didn't. So he was hurt. He was hurt a bunch this year. Didn't play a lot, right? But the prior year he hit 39 home runs. So like the power's kind of still there, and he's not. He's a free agent, but he's also a little squeezed out of the Seattle outfield. So I don't think they're going to kind of re-sign him there. I think they kind of have a lot of talent there.
Coming up too.
So like he is in our price range though, and he's exactly the kind of guy who would go out there, play terrible defense, and maybe hit some homers.
That's just he sounds to the White Sox already.
Yeah, it's possible.
Yeah,
he
made
possible.
He made just under $8 million this year. So yeah, you're absolutely right. He's right in that price range. He's just the type of guy that they'll
Been
sign
hurt a bunch too. Injury prone. He fits
extremely injury prone.
They'll sign him, and then assholes like me will get on Twitter being like, "Fuck yeah, Mitch Haniger,
let's do it.
Yeah, let's go." And I'm gonna get all excited about this bullshit. And then 3 months into this,
May comes around. This guy sucks. Han blew it again.
Sucks. This is because the other guy that I'm gonna say that about, because I'm gonna to the day I die, and I know he's bad, and I don't care. I still want him on the team. Is Frazier?
Oh God.
He is out there. He'll be out there. Yeah, you can go get him. Left-handed hitting second baseman. There you go.
I feel it in my plums that if he's the type of guy, if he came to the White Sox, it would work. It'd be a fit. But yeah.
I mean, I didn't like him in the year that they were looking to trade because I felt like he was going to cost way too much, right? Because he was on a huge heater that year. So I was like hoping they didn't do it. They went and got Cesar Hernandez. That didn't work either. But his season so far this year is not great, I guess. 1.1 WAR, 150 games. So.
He was complete cheeks the first half of the year. He had a decent second half of the year. And then when Seattle went on that huge heater, I mean, he wasn't a huge part of it, but he was serviceable. I don't know why. I wanted them to trade for him when he was in Pittsburgh that year that you just said you didn't want him. He went to San Diego and he was fucking just complete dog shit there. Mm-hmm. Ended up in Seattle, and I think he hasn't completely turned it around, but just one time I want the White Sox to just surprise me and somehow get Reynolds from the Pirates or something like that. Just completely uncharacteristic of them. Out of nowhere, make this deal for Liam Hendricks and Montgomery. They package it together and get some fucking actual decent, good baseball player. And we were just like, holy shit, where did that come from? I think the last time I said, holy shit, where did that come from was the Quintana for Eloy and Cease trade. Yeah. And that was the last good move they made.
Trade the Pirates for Bly Madrid.
I don't know what you're saying, Fids.
Trade the Pirates for Bly Madrid.
Who is that?
Oh, Google it. You will want to do that. So
Sounds like a third league soccer team.
Yeah,
in
that
Europe.
sounds like a very
Fly-
fake. That sounds like a very fake
Madrid.
name.
Fly Madrid.
BLY.
BLIGH space MADRIS.
No, I got that. It's the first name that.
Oh yeah.
Let's see who the fuck this kid is.
Everything you want in a right fielder and more. I'm just saying.
Oh, it's because he's from Vegas. You fucker.
No.
I should have known right away.
Nope. No. This is
I should have known right away.
Can I check? This is a Bryson Stott situation. He is one of them. He is one of the Bryson Stott ones.
Let's see what he did. 296 at bats, 11 homers, hitting 297.
His age.
He's 24.
Yep. Perfect.
I mean, isn't that Oscar Colas?
Yeah. Well, you're not trading Oscar Colas for that.
No, but I'm saying like we already have that.
We got another Oscar Colas.
This is like when you're out and your mom's like, "No, we have McDonald's at home." Like we have McDonald's at home.
Can you go get McDonald's?
McDonald's at home.
Are you filling all the holes?
Oh, I get. You're calling up Colas. There's a hole in Birmingham. This guy is taking the spot.
No, I'm talking about.
I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Left field line.
Yeah, you have derailed, my buddy. I have no idea what the hell you're talking about here. I'm just saying his stats look very comparable to Oscar Colas.
But he's done it at the majors.
I mean, he had 113 major league at bats, batted
This year.
177.
Well, keep going, and also look at Bryson Stott last year.
Yeah, I'll take Bryson Stott.
He's on a bad.
You gotta
team.
say what you want to say here, bud, because I'm not.
What I'm saying is he's on a bad team. He's been given his opportunity to see major league pitching without any expectation. He's been able to struggle, be good, succeed, fail. Now he's ready to actually be inserted into a lineup, and he's worth it.
I think 2019 White Sox, maybe I'd take a flyer. But win now mode, or I don't know. Especially if we have to give up assets for him.
No, you're not actually giving up much. You're also taking from the Pirates.
Anyways, they're playing Fantastic Voyage at Wrigley Field right now.
Oh,
Peace, Coolio.
Banger.
And I also feel terrible for this guy that kind of looks like Peter Griffin that missed catching Aaron Judge's home run ball, because every other tweet is this poor guy just looking like absolute shit because he just let a winning lottery ticket just miss his glove.
I gotta find this now.
Yeah, he sat front row. He had the good seat. It wasn't like a sure catch. Let's put it that way. But like,
that's gotta be brutal. Like you're like, oh my god, it's actually coming towards me, and then like you fucking missed it.
Like you gotta want it,
and then you get reminded about it every time you turn on ESPN because
it's a tough play. I just saw the replay, so that's gonna be a tough play for him.
It's a tough play. I mean, if you had, it's kind of funny though that the ball went into the bullpen, so like nobody has it.
No one got it.
If I'm that bullpen catcher, I'm putting that ball underneath my like chest protector. I don't know where it went, and then sell that bitch. But
he would have fallen in the bullpen if he was going to catch that, and then he wouldn't have gotten to keep the ball. They would have been
$3 million. For $3 million, I'm taking that fall.
$3 million. You still might not get it, man.
For $3 million, I'm taking that fall, and somehow I'm telling the Blue Jays that their railing was faulty, and I'm suing them too.
Now that's a retirement plan. I appreciate that.
And we're gonna do that, and then we're gonna sign Trey Turner because I'm gonna own the bitch. And we're gonna go from there. So I don't know. Is there any other groundbreaking moves or anything that you can think of that you want to contribute to the start of fixing the White Sox? I think we have a lot of good things here for them to think about, but it's not going to be like a normal offseason. I feel like I said it at the trade deadline, and boy, did I look like an asshole when I said this is probably Han's most important trade deadline of his career, and then he came out and did absolute jack shit.
And he punted it. Yeah, he did nothing. Yeah.
But this is if he is still the general manager of this team, which I think we all think he will be, this is a very big offseason.
Pinwheels bump again. Now we're going to get some other shoddy reliever, and that'll be it.
Don't you say that. How dare you? They need to make some trades. They need to move some chairs around here at a minimum to try to shake this up. I'm interested to see how they resolve the initial problem, which is the Abreu, Vaughn, Eloy Jimenez problem.
Yep.
I mean, I'm very interested to see how that ends up looking, let's say, by Christmas, where we're at with that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think they're going to do Sox Fest this year?
I don't know. That's more of a My Sox Summer question than mine. You would have heard about it already if they were going to do it, right? It seems like a little late in the game for them to like say, okay, now we're doing it, and it's like the season's kind of already over.
The
Cubs just announced theirs. Yeah, the Cubs did it today. So like
the Sox usually do it earlier, though. I feel like it's during the season they announce it. I mean, it's
Tom Ricketts is
You get like the early package. They usually have like some bobblehead.
Here's your answer.
There you go. No. Yeah.
Could be at the Hyatt Regency in Elgin.
Sox Fest was always a good time, man.
We will still do a 108-day party at Reggie's, more than likely. So we've done that. I guess the only year that we skipped it was maybe 2021 during the middle, because we did it 2020 right before the pandemic, and then we did do it last year, 2022. Limited capacity, kind of masked up materially. We'll probably do another 108-day where we do a live show. It's kind of an off-season show. Have guests. It costs to get in, so just put that out there.
Worst fucking day ever, by the way. I was on the way to the airport.
That's right. I forgot about this.
I was coming. I was coming to support my friends on their special day, and I got put on like Frontier Airlines lockdown. On the way to the airport, they're like, "Nope, your flight's been delayed. Go home." I'm like, "Till what time?" Fine. 11 p.m. Like, all right. I'm like, let's go to Outback. We have a gift card. Some kid gave me a gift card to Outback. Let's go eat some terrible steak. Let's go eat that bread. Actually, I wanted the bread. But
the last Sox Fest, though, that's when they rolled out. I remember that night because they rolled out the Goose Island Sox Ale. It was like the big rollout at the Sox Fest.
Mm-hmm.
And then you guys had your thing at Reggie's, and that was such a bash, dude, because literally everybody was there that night because of Sox Fest. Everybody came in.
Yeah.
People had rooms. Like, no one was really traveling. That was one hell of a night.
You guys had the ice storm last year, though.
Yeah, we sold the room out both times. We sold it out in 2020 when it was full capacity, and then it was like 75%, I think, in 2022, and we sold the room out then. So I mean, we're planning to do it again. I have no insight to when exactly or who's on the panels or any of that stuff. But that's probably going to happen even if Sox Fest doesn't. Usually good to have one party in the off season where everyone get together.
Yeah, it's great. It's nice to actually. It's funny. Anytime you guys or anybody has like one of these like White Sox Twitter meetups or whatever, like name tags are like mandatory because people come up and they'll be like, "Hey, I'm Steve," and I'll be like, "Who?" And they'll be like, "Oh, Katy Perry's booty hole." I'm like, "Oh, what's up, dude?" Like, I know. Yeah, it's like I haven't. It's so weird.
Yeah, you got to do the Twitter handles before you dap everybody up.
That's you have no idea who people. Yeah,
that's right.
But
true story.
Go ahead, Fitz.
Oh no,
I was gonna wrap it up. So go ahead.
Oh, true story. The flight that I had purchased for that night and the hotel ended up going to Atlanta, which was fine. But we missed the storm, and Aloha sent me 4,000 stickers as a result because he felt bad for me. So, and if you know what Aloha,
it's a tremendous amount.
It was pretty much on every urinal I went to for the like 6 weeks.
So they're all over Vegas.
Yep. Yeah. It's like syphilis, except with stickers.
That's fair. Well, Beef, thank you as always for coming on the show. We
Thanks,
appreciate
boys.
you having me. Safe travels to San Francisco. Or San Francisco.
San Diego.
San Diego, different parts of California.
A little further south. Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me on. It was good to like start kicking off this talk, right? Because this is going to be the bane of our existence for the next several months. Plotting and thinking about what the White Sox do, and then reacting to what they actually end up doing out in the marketplace. So I'm really looking forward to it. Thanks for having me.
Cannot wait to be completely disappointed again.
Beef, go to Hodads.
We'll see what we can get done. We got some family obligations. We got some stuff we got to do.
It's right next to Petco.
Okay. All right. Good to know.
The same.
So,
Get a
well,
burger.
thank you. Make sure you guys are tuning into the 108 podcast on Thursday nights. Are you guys doing it tomorrow night?
We are not. So we have this Thursday night off, but normally it's Thursday night, 8 p.m. Central Time on YouTube Live. We're planning to do the podcast weekly still through the off season. So we had before taking it back, and we wouldn't do as many episodes. We're keeping the momentum of this crappy ass season, and we're going to do it every Thursday night. And we're going to mix it up a little bit. Might be a little more bullshit and a little more beer and a little less baseball, but we're still going to hit all the White Sox topics when they come up. So yeah, we'll be out there 8 p.m. Thursday nights, YouTube Live. Hit us up.
Holy shit. Before we wrap it up, Beef, you have to sit through this, Mitch. I apologize.
This one.
I apologize.
I'd be honored to sit through it.
There you
Sounds
go.
good.
Let's finish it out,
Give
Mitch,
us your dance moves.
with the NASCAR minute. All right, Beef, this is the Mitch NASCAR minute.
AKA 5 minutes. I'm not going to lie, Beef, you picked a horrible week because this week was Texas Motor Speedway week, and this race was an absolute disaster of a race. But I'm not going to lie, it was wildly entertaining. It was terrible racing all the way around, but there was a lot of drama. So it was basically a tire roulette throughout the day. Goodyear, not a banner day for them. Everyone was having issues. Didn't matter who you were. Christopher Bell, first playoff driver to blow a tire. His day over. Then there's Cody Ware. He has his weekly meeting with the wall. He spins, hits the wall head on. And it got so bad, the front of the car kicked up. And so he couldn't see out the windshield. He goes flying down pit. Well, somehow he got down pit lane, which is really dangerous because there's people down there. They're like, get out of the way, get out of the way. He hits the pit lane or whatever. Someone honestly probably could have died. Luckily, they cleared everyone out. So he hits it. It's a hard impact. I was worried he wasn't going to get out of the car. He did. He looked really limp. They got him to the safety vehicles and everything. Pretty scary. Probably concussed. I think he tore a couple ligaments. But damn it, he said on Twitter he's going to try and come back and race next week. Tell Yoan Moncada and Eloy Jimenez to hit this man up because that is tough. Next week's Talladega, which is like a death trap. He has no reason to race. He's not a playoff driver. He's not good. It's not like he's going to win, but he still wants to be behind the wheel. So good for you, Cody Ware, despite the fact he hit the ball once again. Speaking of almost killing pit crew members, Ty Gibbs, he nearly took out a NASCAR official. He got in a battle with the other Ty on the track, Ty Dillon. I don't know why. I guess Ty Dillon doored him, wasn't happy, so he kind of bumped him back.
Wait, time out. What's door to mean?
Oh, so he was pulling out of his pit lane and he kind of hit him on the side of the door. So yeah. And so Ty Gibbs wasn't happy about that. He's a 19-year-old kid. He's very immature. So he swerves into him, hits him, and then Ty Dillon kind of went off track because from the momentum and nearly wiped out a NASCAR official and 4 pit members from RFK. It was almost like bowling pins. Probably could have killed him. He later let out this half-assed apology on Twitter. Everyone's like, all right, bud, we all know your grandpa, Joe Gibbs, is going to pay your fine. So, you don't really care. You're not sorry. That guy sucks. He's driving the 18 next year. He'll be a perfect fit for Kyle Busch's car. One douche out, another one in. Anyway, Goodyear not off the hook yet. Goodyear not off the hook yet. Chase Elliott, he takes the lead. I'm pissed off, as we know. I don't like Chase Elliott, but, I'm a terrible person. He blows a tire, too. I'm celebrating. He goes flying. Car catches on fire, so he gets out. He's okay. And I'm not going to lie. It kind of looked like that scene from Batman, it's upside down, and you have Robert Pattinson walking out like a badass with the car on fire. It was kind of like Chase, but it was like some skinny pipsqueak from Dansville or from Georgia. So, not quite as cool, but it was quite a fireball there. So then there's a rain delay. So as if the 500-mile race wasn't enough of terrible racing where no one could pass and everyone's blowing tires, then you have to sit through a rain delay. They come back after that. We go green again. The shit show continues. Kevin Harvick, he takes the lead. Busch Light guy. And then he blows a tire in the lead. His day's over. He hit the Andy's frozen custard sign. Hate to say it. So now Martin Truex, he's in the lead. Martin Truex. He's the guy. He's had some bad luck. Southern 500, blew an engine. He missed the playoffs by 2 points. He was crying after the Southern 500 nearly. He's like, oh, he just can't catch a break. And then last week, his thing blew up again. He's flipping off the hood of his car. So he takes the lead. You think it's finally his redemption moment. Bam, Goodyear tire blows up. He hits the wall. His day's basically over too. So you think the drama's over. No, not so much. Meanwhile, mid-pack, Denny Hamlin, he's racing with William Byron. They're racing him pretty hard. Byron's trying to pin him in. He's at the high line. Denny Hamlin, he's a veteran. He's trying to get the position. So he starts moving him up the track. They don't really touch, but excuse me. got too into it. Byron, he ran out of room. He hits the wall. And so now he's pissed off because he just hit the wall because Hamlin forced him up the track. He's like, I'm getting that son of a bitch back. So Byron, he's not taking that shit. He says, take that, old man. He knocks into Hamlin. Hamlin flies off the track. But the problem is there was a caution flag out. So that was kind of like a chicken shit move. There's a yellow flag out. You're supposed to be going slow. He just rammed the guy off the track. So Hamlin's like, what the hell, man? So he tries to get his position back because, like, under caution, they got the yellow flag out. They're just kind of doing like a parade around while they clean up debris and whatnot. And so he comes racing up the field to try and get back his spot. And NASCAR's like, whoa there, pal. Like, you weren't maintaining speed. You got to go back. He's like, well, I got knocked off the track. He's like, that should have been a penalty on him. And NASCAR's like, well, we didn't see it. So now Hamlin, he's furious. He's like, fine, you know what? I'll just give him the penalty myself. So his plan is he's going to wreck him when he gets back up to him later in the race. Problem was Hamlin never got back up there. So, didn't happen. Tyler Reddick ends up winning the race. More like he survived. His tires didn't blow down. And that was Texas. Everyone wants to demolish the track after that race. Texas always produces terrible races. This was no different. Blow up Texas. But yeah, there you go.
Yeah, so Beef, there's going to be a test on that, bud.
Love the enthusiasm. I had no idea what was going on, but I love the image, the music, and Mitch, you were really firing. I appreciate that. So you won some points today for 108 Tourney. Keep bagging on these guys, right? I'm going to keep an eye.
Half the time I don't know I confuse guys' names all the time.
We're learning. I think we're in the NASCAR off season. We'll have like flashcards.
We're learning. Actually, Beef, maybe you can help out with this. We need to figure out a bet I can make with these guys where if I lose, my punishment is I have to live stream myself watching a full NASCAR race.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah. It's kind of like your steak bet, but
yeah. You're going to have to figure something out here. Yeah.
Very confused the whole time.
Let me think on that.
I think if I do lose that, I'm going to get one of those helmets with the beers on each side of it, because I feel like that's an appropriate way to watch NASCAR.
Go all over the straws, yeah.
2 straws and I need like a obnoxiously big Costco bag of some kind of chip or pork rinds or something, and like really get into it. But thank you. Again, thank you so much, B, for jumping on. Appreciate it. Safe travels to San Diego. For NASCAR Mitch, that's Fitz. I'm Zoe. We'll see you guys next week.